Good Saturday morning to you from the National Weather Service office in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm meteorologist Donald Jones, and we interrupt your Saturday morning cartoons for an update on what is going to look like right now, at least to be a potential winter storm across parts of Southeast Texas, really all of Southeast Texas and Southwest Louisiana, to go along with some extreme cold that we're expecting across the region pretty much all of next week. I do have some latest information for you, including our latest forecast snowfall accumulations, which you may have already seen on our Facebook page this morning, and they're pretty significant. We're looking at anywhere between about 3 to up to 7 inches of snowfall, mainly during the day on Tuesday. Well, I should say pretty much all day Tuesday. It's going to begin shortly after midnight and kind of continue through the day. And that's going to be one of the more significant snowfalls seen in recorded history, really, across parts of this area. It's not necessarily going to be a record breaker per se for most of the area. For that, the record is generally back way in 1895, where we saw 20 inches of snow here in the Lake Charles area and anywhere between about 15 to 20 inches across the region. Nonetheless, it is going to be one of the most significant snowfalls seen in the last couple of decades if this forecast pans out as we're anticipating that it very well may. We're going to talk about all of that here, and again, the very, very cold, dangerously cold temperatures that are going to begin as soon as tomorrow night and continue all through next week. As always, this is a live interactive briefing, so if you have any questions as we go through our briefing, feel free to post them in our comment section, and we'll answer them just as soon as we wrap up our briefing here. Ricky says, he's leading off here, $1 million question, how much snow for each area? I'm going to tell you, Ricky. Let's go ahead and jump into it here this morning. Again, a very cold air mass is expected to move through the area tomorrow. We actually had a weak cold front move through the area this morning. We had a little bit of light rainfall here in the Lake Charles area, and then a line of thunderstorms that actually developed and moved across parts of the Lafayette down towards New Iberia areas this morning. That was associated with a weak frontal boundary. So it is going to be a little bit cooler and drier today, but there's going to be another stronger cold front that's going to move through the area tomorrow. That's what's going to bring us this bitterly cold air into the area. Now, that's going to be a dry front. We're not going to have any kind of rainfall associated with that front, but you will notice it by a significant uptick in the northwesterly winds, and those winds will bring in that much cooler air. We're going to be looking at temperatures falling into the 20s Sunday night into Monday and into the teens by Tuesday night into Wednesday. So it is going to be extremely cold out there. And that's going to pretty much continue all the way through at least Thursday and possibly into Friday. We're going to be looking at freezes at least through Friday. These conditions are going to be life-threatening to people that are exposed outdoors for extended period of times, especially those who don't have the proper layered clothing. So we're definitely concerned about that. We actually had a couple of fatalities across the region with the extreme cold we had just a couple of weeks ago. We want to avoid that this time. So make sure to take preparations to protect pipes, plants, pets, and also any people who are vulnerable, whether that be the elderly, the unhoused. Those people are particularly susceptible to extreme cold, and that will definitely be at risk as we go through this upcoming week. Now, as far as the winter precipitation goes, that is going to be pretty much a one-day event. We're going to be looking at the winter weather or the winter precipitation mainly on Tuesday. Now, that's going to begin possibly as early as very late Monday night, but the vast majority of it is going to be, I think, after midnight Tuesday morning and through the day Tuesday, coming to an end sometime Tuesday evening into Tuesday night. So it's all going to kind of occur on over a one-day period on Tuesday. The thing to keep in mind as we go through this, though, is that the snow is going to fall on Tuesday, but will remain well below freezing Tuesday night and pretty much almost all day Wednesday, at least through Wednesday afternoon. So any snow that falls is going to accumulate, and it's going to remain on the ground at least through Wednesday afternoon. I think we're going to rise above freezing for a few hours Wednesday afternoon. That may allow it to start to thaw out a little bit. But if it doesn't thaw out in that few-hour period, then we're going to go into Thursday as well. So we could be looking at snow that does fall remaining on the ground to as late as Thursday. Snow accumulations, 5 to 7 inches is our first estimate. I'm not going to call it a guess, but that's our forecast for north of the I-10 corridor, and then right along the I-10 corridor and south, 3 to 5 inches expected. That is a significant snowfall for this area and one of the highest we've seen in quite some time. I'm going to show you the details here for that in just a moment. What I want to start off here before we get into that, I want to talk to a little bit more about the extreme cold. We do have a cold weather advisory now in effect. Let me get me out of the way here. A cold weather advisory essentially means that temperatures and or wind chills are forecasted to be 20 degrees or lower. In the case of tomorrow, that's going to be wind chills. We're not going to be looking at actual temperatures that cold tomorrow, but wind chill values will fall to 20 degrees or lower across the entire region tomorrow. So we do have a cold weather advisory in effect. Again, these temperatures and wind chills can lead to hypothermia. We talked about that just a moment ago if you're improperly exposed or outside for long periods of time. So make sure to dress in layers and spend limited time outdoors if you have to be outdoors, and have quickly accessible source of warmth to get into, preferably a warm building or a warm vehicle. That works just as well. But just kind of keep that in mind. The beginning of the very cold temperatures starts tonight into early tomorrow morning. We have another cold weather advisory. This is going to be for Sunday night into noon on Monday, and expect these products to be issued pretty much every day for the upcoming week, because temperatures are going to get even colder as we go through the week. In addition to the cold weather advisory, we also have a winter storm watch that's now in effect from midnight Tuesday, so very early Tuesday morning, until midnight Wednesday. Again, that's when we're expecting the vast majority of our winter precipitation to fall. So we do have this winter storm watch. A winter storm watch essentially is issued anytime we're expecting more than an inch of snow, and we are certainly expecting more than an inch of snow with this system. Again, snow total accumulations of 5 to 7 inches north of I-10 and 3 to 5 inches from I-10 to the coast. Now, based on those forecasts, if that verifies, roads, especially bridges and overpasses, are likely to become very slick and hazardous. We are expecting strong winds behind that cold front Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, even into Wednesday. So we'll be looking at wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Besides the fact that that's going to create bitterly cold wind chills, we're also going to be looking at the combination of that and weight from that snow on trees could push some tree limbs down on power lines and cause some sporadic power outages. Now, I'm not expecting widespread power outages everywhere, but I do think we are going to see some power outages with this should the snow forecast verify. And that, combined with the extremely cold temperatures, creates a whole nother host of problems. So just kind of keep that in mind. Ideally, you want to have another source of warmth beyond the traditional electrical grid, whether that be a fireplace, a generator, or somewhere else that you can go in the event that your power does go out. But kind of think about that in advance. What are you going to do for warmth in the event that you do lose power? Just a whole bunch of blankets and clothing is usually enough too. But you need to have a plan in the event that your power does go out from this snowstorm. Vehicle travel, we are expecting, based on the forecast snow amounts, could become very difficult and hazardous. Expect bridges to be closed. Expect roadways in some cases to be closed. Both Tuesday and, as I talked about at the top, we're going to remain at or below freezing all the way through Wednesday afternoon. So if the bridges and roads do close sometime on Tuesday, expect them to remain closed pretty much all day on Wednesday as well, and possibly as late as Thursday. All right, now let's talk about, this is the big graphic here, the forecast snowfall accumulations for Tuesday. You can see essentially, as we've been talking about, along and north of the I-10 corridor, 5 to 7 inches. It rounded it up to 8 there on the yellow, but those areas highlighted in yellow, anywhere between 6 to 8 inches of snowfall. Areas in the dark blue looking at 4 to 6. So Southeast Texas, you're kind of in that 4 to 6 range. Lake Charles is kind of right on the cusp there. So don't get too specific with these numbers here, because they are going to change. I promise you they will change between now and Tuesday. But this is a kind of an estimate and give you just kind of a general idea of what we're looking at in terms of overall snow accumulations with this system. So in general, the higher snowfall totals are expected to be across further to the north, across central Louisiana. That kind of makes sense. Of course, they're going to be a little bit colder, but still looking at significant snowfall totals all the way to the coast. It's even going to be snowing most likely over the Gulf of Mexico for a while. So don't be surprised we see a little bit of accumulation on the offshore platforms out over the Gulf of Mexico with this system. So we're looking at some significant snowfall accumulations. And if I can let me get me out the way again. If you look down towards Iberia, St. Martin, St. Mary parishes, even down there, right along the immediate coastline, looking at the potential for 3 to 4 inches of snowfall accumulation with this system as we go through the day on Tuesday. And again, any snow that falls is likely to stay on the ground all day Tuesday and into Wednesday, possibly even into Thursday, come back. as that snow is going to, as the temperature is going to remain well below freezing, that snow is going to remain in place. Again, taking a look at the precipitation timing, we're going to be looking at, there is going to be the possibility of a few flurries as early as Monday evening. You can see that 15-ish% chance of rainfall between about 6 p.m. and midnight Monday evening. So not ruling out a few flakes, but the vast majority of the activity is going to be after midnight. You can see the highest overall precipitation chances are actually between about 6 a.m. and noon or thereabouts. But beginning after midnight and continuing through the early afternoon, I think by about sunset Tuesday evening, most of the activity will be out of here. But we're pretty much looking at an entire day's worth of potential snow, and that's why the snowfall accumulations are climbing as much as they are. This is a look at the same precipitation timing for our central and southwest Louisiana cities. You can see beginning again, possibly a few flakes, a few light snow showers. During the, that's a word I don't say very often, during the early to or mid to late evening hours, and then really kind of ramping up after midnight through Tuesday afternoon. All right, so taking a look at the probabilities, if you joined us last night, we talked about this a little bit. This is the probability of seeing any amount of snow. So at least seeing a snowflake somewhere, these are the probabilities. And right now they're actually quite high. We're looking at, especially considering we're talking still, 3-ish days out, we're looking at essentially an 70 to 90% chance of seeing some kind of snowfall across the entire region. Now, these will likely continue to increase as we go through the next couple of days, but to see a 70 to 90% chance of snow 3 days in advance in this part of the world, that's extremely rare. That's something I don't think I've seen at any point in my career so far in the 16 years I've been a meteorologist here at the Weather Service in Lake Charles. This is the probability of seeing greater than 2 inches of snow. You can see those values are not quite as high, but still looking at close to a 50-50 shot, 40 to 60% across most of the region of seeing at least 2 inches of snow down towards the kind of lower Acadiana areas, Iberia, St. Martin, St. Mary parishes, a little bit lower, 30 to 40%. But still, these are relatively high probabilities considering we're 3 days out from the event. This is the probability of seeing at least 4 inches. Again, obviously going to be a little bit lower, but we're still looking at 30 to 40% across a good swath of the region there. The areas highlighted in red. And then generally a 20 to 30% chance down the areas we just talked about, Iberia, St. Martin, St. Mary parishes. This is the probabilities of seeing greater than 6 inches of snow. Again, the probabilities are lower, but having a 20 to 30% chance 3 days out, again, still very, very impressive, all things considered. Now, in addition to the snow threat, we are going to be looking at the possibility of some freezing rain still. Now, it's a low possibility, but we're not ruling it out at this point. We're still looking at about a 20% chance of freezing rain, essentially along and south of the I-10 corridor. Now, freezing rain, as we've been fairly familiar with over the last few years, this is the dangerous stuff. This is the stuff that's definitely going to ice over bridges and roads and potentially cause power outages, because freezing rain sticks to everything it touches. So it'll stick to those power lines, it'll stick to tree branches and all kinds of stuff like that, and this would be a much higher risk for power outages if this were to actually occur. Again, the probabilities are still pretty low at this point. We're looking at a 20% chance or less compared to snow, which appears more likely at this point, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, so it's still worth mentioning at this point. This is the probability of seeing at least 1/10 of an inch of accumulation. Again, the 5 to 10%, which is kind of where we're at with that, along and south of the I-10 corridor. It's about 1/10 of an inch where we start to see significant impacts, where those roads begin to close, where those power lines start to take on significant amounts of weight from that water and potentially cause power outages. So again, the probabilities of that are very low at this point, but they are still what we call non-zero. There is still a low chance of it happening. So it's worth keeping in mind at this point. Go. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the cold. These are some fairly detailed graphics. It's going to take a couple of minutes to go through them. So I'm just going to run through them here. Let me get me out of the way a little more here. You just look at my forehead. It's beautiful down there. So essentially, this is Sunday night into Monday morning. We're going to be looking at low temperatures falling into the lower 20s across central Louisiana, interior parts of southeast Texas, mid 20s along the I-10 corridor, and then upper 20s along the immediate coastline. This is our lows Monday night into Tuesday morning. So again, lower 20s, central Louisiana, interior southeast Texas, mid-20s along the I-10 corridor, and upper 20s along the immediate coastline. For Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, this is going to be our coldest night by far. So we're looking at mid-teens to even lower teens across parts of central Louisiana. But you can see the mid-teens pretty much everywhere away from the immediate coastline, and then lower 20s right along the immediate coastline itself. We're going to talk about the wind chill values here in just a minute, and those are going to get down into the single digits Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. For Wednesday night into Thursday morning, again, we're looking at very cold temperatures, 20 degrees, possibly some upper teens across central Louisiana, lower 20s along the I-10 corridor, and then a light freeze right around 30 right along the immediate coastline. For Thursday night into Friday morning, we're still looking at freezing conditions all the way down to the I-10 corridor. I think we stay above freezing right along the immediate coastline, but we're still looking at close to hard freezing conditions across central Louisiana and interior parts of southeast Texas with a light freeze along the I-10 corridor. So this is going to be a whole week thing as far as the very cold air goes. And this kind of just summarizes what we just talked about here and the most significant times for those extreme colds. You can see from Monday night through Wednesday, besides being that's when the snow is going to happen, we're also going to be looking at the coldest temperatures during that time as well, especially Tuesday night into Wednesday. Same thing for our central Louisiana and southwest Louisiana cities. You're looking at pretty much the exact same timing with regards to those very, very cold temperatures. Now, it is going to be windy in addition to the extreme cold. So we start talking about the wind chill factor becoming a significant issue with those strong winds. So you can see the wind gusts there, 20, 25 miles an hour, not ruling out some gusts up to 30 miles an hour. And that'll go into both Monday and Tuesday. You can see we're still gusting 25 miles an hour or so. I was talking to actually one of our forecasters here earlier this morning that we're actually not too far away from blizzard criteria. We have to have 35 mile an hour winds for blizzard criteria, so we're not there, and we probably won't be. But just the fact that it's even something to talk about in this area is interesting in and of itself. Taking a look at the wind gusts for central and southwest Louisiana, you see pretty much the same thing, looking at 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts, not out of the realm of possibility. So again, we're within about 5-10 miles an hour if you added that snow in to actually meeting blizzard warning criteria. So we'll see how that evolves. I don't expect us to get there, but the fact that it's even in the conversation is certainly very interesting. Now, once we add in those wind chill values, those winds to those very cold temperatures, take a look at some of these values here. Sunday night into Monday, we're going to be in the mid-teens. So this is as late as tomorrow night into Monday morning. Very, very cold temperatures across the region. Monday night into Tuesday, pretty much the same thing, mid-teens across the entire region. These are these feel-like temperatures. Keep in mind that this has nothing to do with pipes. So the wind chill has no effect at all on pipes. It has no effect at all on plants. It could potentially have some effect if you have a hairless cat or any kind of animal that doesn't have hair. Reptiles would not be happy, obviously, in this kind of environment. But it's mainly, it has to do with the wind blowing the layer of heat that's right along, right around your skin. You know, when winds are calm or when you're in your house, there's actually a very thin layer of heat that develops right along the layer of your skin. And when the wind blows that away, you no longer have that heat. It feels much colder than it actually is. That's what wind chill effectively is. So it's not something that is going to impact pipes, although we are certainly going to be in pipe busting temperatures. But this is something to kind of keep in mind, that this is only related to human skin as far as the wind chill factor goes. Going Tuesday night into Wednesday, you see the wind chill values in the lower teens. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some single digits here Tuesday night into Wednesday with those strong winds combined with the very cold temperatures, and also lingering effects of maybe some snow, and then certainly snow on the ground expected at that point. Wednesday night into Thursday, the winds are finally going to come down, so the wind chill values are actually going to be very close to the actual temperatures. So we're looking at lower 20s away from the immediate coastline, and then upper 20s along the immediate coastline for those wind chill values Thursday. This table here just kind of summarizes that. I highlighted in purple, the purple box there shows the areas of dangerously cold wind chills. I might as well just have circled the whole thing, but that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at from essentially early Sunday morning through at least Thursday morning. We're going to be looking at dangerously cold wind chills across both southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana And there's really not going to be a whole lot of abatement to it. We're going to stay cold pretty constantly. We may come up to just above freezing for a few hours during the afternoon, but that's going to be about it. Now, talking a little bit about the amount of hours we're expected to be below freezing over the next few days, we're going to be looking at significant amounts of time below freezing. In some cases, we may not get above freezing at all for some days. Tuesday night into Wednesday. Wednesday, we may not get above freezing at all. Generally speaking, it takes about 6 hours below freezing for pipes to begin to freeze. We're going to be well above those numbers for most of the week. So looking at Sunday night into Monday, you can see here anywhere between 4 to 8 right along the immediate coastline, around 10 hours below freezing along the I-10 corridor, up to 15 hours below freezing across parts of central Louisiana and interior southeast Texas. From Monday night into Tuesday, very, very similar. 5+ hours right along the coastline, 10+ hours along the I-10 corridor, and then 15+ hours up across central Louisiana and interior parts of southeast Texas. Tuesday night into Wednesday, this is when we may not actually get above freezing at all. We may not get above freezing at all Wednesday. So from Tuesday night, we may spend all day Wednesday night into Thursday. We may not come back above freezing until Thursday afternoon. If we do get above freezing, it's only going to be for a couple of hours, maybe between about 2 or 3 in the afternoon to maybe 4 o'clock or thereabouts. That's going to be about it. And then the rest of the that time period is going to be spent below freezing. So you see 20 plus hours below freezing in most locations Tuesday night into Wednesday. For Wednesday night into Thursday, we're going to be looking at anywhere between about 13 to 16 hours across most of the region away from the immediate coastline. We may stay above freezing right along the immediate coastline Wednesday night into Thursday, but most of the area will be back below freezing for significant lengths of time Wednesday night into Thursday. Then Thursday night into Friday morning, we are still expecting a freeze across central Louisiana and interior parts of southeast Texas. Along the I-10 corridor, we're actually not expected to spend a significant amount of time below freezing Thursday night and Friday morning, nor along the immediate coastline, but areas further north will still have to take pipe precautions for Thursday night into Friday. So that's what we have here this morning from the National Weather Service. Again, we are looking at a fairly significant snow event and extreme cold event unfolding across the area. We are going to provide another update here this evening at 7 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them here over the next little while. Otherwise, we will see you back here 7 o'clock this evening. I'm going to go ahead and jump back to, if I can, we're going to come all the way back. I want to put the snow graphic back up there. Hopefully this will avoid a few of the 8 million questions about how much snow am I going to get at my house. So we'll throw that back up there, and let me see. If you do have a question, feel free to throw it in there. I'm going to back up a few minutes here. Natalie says, so it'll be as cold as my ex's heart. Natalie, that's a bit dark. Come on now. Did he hurt you that bad? It's too early for that. CJ says, what should we expect in South Mississippi, 2 to 3 miles north of I-10? We actually don't cover that area here at this office. That would be the purview of the National Weather Service office. New Orleans, which is actually located in Slidell, they cover South Mississippi, and they can give you more details. In fact, they did a Facebook Live themselves yesterday afternoon. They'll probably wind up doing another one here today, so they'll have more details about that than I will. I'm sorry for that. I don't have graphics for that. Sheila says, can we have the snow without the cold? No. Last time, and I took physics in college. You have to be cold to have snow. There's no such thing as hot snow. If somebody invented that, though, that'd probably be that's $1 million idea right there. Janae says, close to blizzard criteria is crazy. Yes, it is. That's probably the first time I've ever had to say those words in this area. Again, it's been a long time since we've seen potentially this amount of snow and conditions quite like this in this area. Kathy's asking about the possibility of roof ice damming. This is going to be a bigger issue, and we talked about this a little bit last night. If we see more in the way of freezing rain, I'm not saying that it's not possible just based on snow. We could see a situation where we have snowfall, and then a few hours Tuesday afternoon where we do get above freezing, it starts to melt a little bit and then refreezes. But the risk, I think, gets higher when we're talking about higher probabilities of freezing rain, which right now they're pretty low. So I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but in general, I think the probabilities are pretty low right now. Jason says, good luck with the fun questions you're about to get. I love all my questions. Every question is a good question. There are no stupid questions, just stupid people. I probably shouldn't have said that. Jason says, should I wear a coat if it's cold? Well, that is a personal decision that I will not make for you. If you want to bear the cold, some people like the cold. So I'm not going to say whether you should or not. That's your personal prerogative. Monica says, at what time on Tuesday would be window of time to get on the road to check on family? A 20-minute drive. I cannot say that there'd be any good time or any time that's better than any other. We're going to be looking at the potential snow beginning shortly after midnight Tuesday morning, and it's going to continue through Tuesday afternoon. Now, I don't necessarily think it's going to be constant. There'll be stops and starts to that, but there may very well be snow and or ice on roads by the time you get up Tuesday morning. So I don't think that there's necessarily going to be a good time to do that Tuesday. Daniel says, this is crazy. I'm not from the area, but just interested. This will be more snow than what Nebraska has gotten all winter. We actually got a message the other day from one of our Alaska offices asking if they could have their snow back, because apparently they haven't had much snow up there this winter either. So it's kind of interesting. We had a big snowstorm across the plains and the Midwest last week, and now we're going to be dealing with this here in the deep South this week. Kristen's asking about the possibility of power outages. Again, we are going to be looking at the possibility of some power outages. Yes, let me take your question off, and you can actually see it on there. Well, it's up here. Essentially, what we're going to be looking at here is the potential for snow to accumulate on trees, which, again, snow being water is very heavy. So if that snow does manage to accumulate on tree branches and potentially knocks branches off onto power lines, we could be looking at power outages that way. Another way we could be looking at power outages is the fact that we're talking about such extreme cold that people aren't very used to in this part of the world. So that means a lot of heaters are going to be running. That's a lot of energy usage. So there is the possibility of brownouts. That's not necessarily unheard of. We've had that happen here before. It may very well happen again. So it may not even be so much damage to the infrastructure that causes power outages, but rather just overuse of the electrical grid. That's a possibility as well. Jennifer asks, how long should we expect snow and ice on the ground? We could be looking at snow and ice on the ground to as late as Thursday. Again, the snow's all going to fall on Tuesday, but if we get above freezing at all on Tuesday, it's only going to be for a couple of hours Tuesday afternoon. We're quickly going to fall back below freezing, probably by about 4 p.m. Or 5 p.m. at the latest. And then we're going to stay below freezing till Wednesday afternoon, at least, if we get above freezing at all on Wednesday. So if we see significant snow, my initial impression is we'll probably have it on the ground through at least Thursday. John asks, are the snowfall estimates exclusively snow, or does it include sleet? I think it's exclusive, but I wanted to ask. Sleet and snow are measured kind of the same way. Now, the thing about sleet is it's not as fluffy. It's ice pellets, tiny little ice pellets. So it doesn't accumulate, as high as the fluffy snow does. So what that does will actually kind of, the accumulation totals and how we measure snow would actually be lower if we got more sleet. This forecast is a combination of the two. But that could have a significant impact if we wind up seeing a little bit more sleet or a lot more sleet than snow. These numbers could be a whole lot lower. But this is a combination of the two. Darius asks, will it be enough for a snowball fight? If these numbers verify, then yes, absolutely. It'll be enough for pretty much anything you want to do in the snow. You can make snow angels, you can make snowmen, you can make snow women, you can make snowballs, you can make snowball fights. You can, anything you can do in the snow. You can't, I mean, you can cross country ski, I guess, just can't down slope ski because we don't have any mountains around here. But I guess if you got some skis, if you're a skiing enthusiast, pull them out. You could probably ski across the yard. Russ asks, are we looking at significant power outages? I wouldn't say significant power outages. I do expect there will be some sporadic power outages here and there. I don't expect the whole area is going to lose power. I don't expect most of the area is going to lose power. But yeah, there likely will be some power outages. I wouldn't say they're going to be widespread, though. Crystal is asking the same question. Can we discuss the possibility of power outages for central Louisiana, and should we prepare? Yes. I think everyone should prepare for power outages. Again, have an alternative source of heat, fireplace, blankets, layers of warm clothes you can put on, a generator that can run space heaters are good ideas as long as they're outside. That's key point. Never run a generator inside. Every time it gets cold, we always hear of people dying essentially from running generators inside and getting carbon monoxide poisoning. Generators always outside and away from windows too, because if you put a generator by the window to run your electrical cords through it, that carbon monoxide will blow right through the window. So away from the house, outside for your generators, but that is a good option. Short of that, there's not quite as effective, but you have your little warming hand warmer type things. Those could work in a pinch. Not necessarily long term, but for a while. Vehicles are good alternative sources of heat for a while. Again, outside, not in garages for the same reason. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a thing. So yeah, you want to have an alternative source of heat in the event that you do have an electrical outage in your area. Yes, power outages are going to be possible. I'm not going to say they're likely, but they are going to happen to some of us here. Natalie says, how bad would Monday be for traveling before this hits us hard Tuesday in the Lafayette area? We're not expecting any kind of winter precipitation until at least late Monday evening. So travel during the day Monday is fine. You shouldn't have any problems other than it's going to be windy. Even Monday evening, if we do see a few flakes, I don't think that's not going to be enough to shut down roads. We're really not looking at the road hazards beginning until probably sometime Tuesday morning. So I think travel on Monday, unless the time frame of this changes, which it's been pretty consistent, I don't think you'll have any problems traveling on Monday. Heather says, I just told my 17-year-old daughter that they will get snowballs to the face. Heather is so pumped about this. Right in the face. They deserve it. I mean, they really have earned it. So, right in the face. Maybe two. Just be prepared to get one in the face yourself. Justin asks, has the U.S. National Weather Service Lake Charles ever issued a blizzard warning, and could this happen with this weather event? I don't know with 100% certainty. It certainly hasn't happened in my career. And to my knowledge, no, we've never issued a blizzard warning from this office. Could it happen with this weather event? I'm not going to say the probabilities are zero, because you have to have three criteria. You have to have snow. Two, you have to have 35-mile-an-hour or greater winds. And third, you have to have snow that reduces visibility to a quarter mile or less. So it has to be heavy snow. It's not just light snow. So right now, the forecast, we do not have it getting to that point. We're going to have gusty winds. We're going to be looking at gusty winds, 25-ish miles an hour. I don't know that the snow is going to be heavy enough to get down to that quarter mile visibility, even if we do have the winds in place. So I'd say it's pretty unlikely at this point, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. DDS, what's your opinion on traveling around town on Wednesday? Well, that's going to depend on how much snow we get. If this forecast verifies and we see 4 to 6 to up to 8 inches of snow, then traveling is going to be hazardous and dangerous, and at the very least, very hard, because I imagine pretty much all area bridges are going to be shut down, and probably some roads as well. So I expect that traveling Wednesday anywhere in the area is going to be difficult, especially if this forecast verifies. Tammy and Billy, what about Northern Vernon Parish? Should we expect snow or winter mix anytime on Monday? If you're going to see it, it's going to be late Monday evening. Again, and the probabilities are very low. Let me see if I'll come back to the timing graphic here. So you can see 6 to 9 p.m. or basically 6 p.m. to midnight on Monday. We've got roughly about a 10 to 15% chance of precipitation, which would fall as snow. Even so, this is likely to not accumulate this early, at least not at this point. So I don't expect you're going to have any kind of problems on roadways on Monday. You can see the higher rain chances, snow chances. I'm so used to saying rain. The higher snow chances are going to be pretty much through the day on Tuesday. So I don't think there are going to be any travel problems Monday anywhere across the area, but those travel problems will develop on Tuesday. Kristen says, what is the possibility of losing water supply? Well, the thing is, I mean, we're going to be, and this is not necessarily a result of the snow, but just the extreme cold. A lot of people are going to be dripping pipes, to keep those pipes from freezing. So I do expect that a lot of areas are going to see water pressure go way down. Losing it entirely, I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I wouldn't call it necessarily likely, but I would expect the water pressure to potentially get very low for a while, low enough that it may actually stop for a period of time. But that's going to be due to the extreme cold more so than the snow. The snow's not going to stop the water. It's everybody running their pipes to try to keep them from freezing that could potentially cause a low water or water pressure issue. Yeah, I was going to ask, what's everybody going to name their snowman? Natalie says she's going to make Olaf, so that's a good option. What are we naming our snowman? Beth says, everyone says they'll close down bridges so nobody can travel. Is this true? If we see these kind of snowfall totals, probably. Bridges tend to freeze much more readily and more quickly than other roadways. So yes, expect those to potentially be shut down Tuesday and possibly all day Wednesday as well. Katie says, is there a chance the bridge will close Tuesday? Yes, there is a possibility that bridges will close Tuesday. Caitlin asks, all of Lake Charles shutting down Tuesday? Because we ain't used to this. Yeah, pretty much. I know all of the area schools have announced school closures. City offices have announced closures. I think some state offices have announced closures. I can't speak for private companies. They kind of make those decisions on their own. But yeah, a lot of entities are going to be closing down Tuesday and possibly into Wednesday. Lilani is asking about sulfur. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but looking at the graphic here, you're going to be in that at least 4 to 6 inches of potential snow accumulation, possibly a little bit higher than that. Again, these numbers are going to change here most likely over the next couple of days. This is definitely not set in stone, but you are going to be looking at the potential for some significant snow accumulation in the Sulphur area, yes, and very, very cold temperatures. Janita says, I have a family member flying to Dallas on Monday, returning on Wednesday out of Lafayette. Should they cancel the flight? Well, they're not going to have any problem flying to Dallas on Monday. That shouldn't be an issue. Coming back on Wednesday, that's going to depend on whether there is ice on the runways or not. If there's ice on the runway, then they will either delay or cancel flights. Most airports have equipment to deal with ice on the runways, but there could be significant delays while they try to remove that ice. If it's just snow, they can plow snow out of the way and it won't be a problem. But ice is just as big of an issue on runways as it is on roadways. It can cause very slick spots that would cause significant problems for planes trying to land. So if they don't cancel, be prepared for some significant delays. Not saying it will happen, but it is a possibility. Trevor says, should we expect hazardous travel Wednesday and Thursday? It's mainly going to be probably Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday afternoon, I think we'll get above freezing, and we should be looking at that snow beginning to melt off, that ice beginning to melt off. So I think it'll be less of a travel hazard on Thursday. We'll see how that evolves. But Tuesday and Wednesday right now, I think, are going to be our biggest risks and hazards for travel. Elizabeth says, Donald Jones, hi, dudes. This is up in Kansas, and she went through this about a week and a half ago with the big snowstorm that moved up through that area. They wound up getting something like 16 plus inches of rain, of snow. We're not going to be quite that high, but still, for this area, this is a very significant potential snow event. Beth says, can you put up the timing and percent graphic for Beaumont again? I sure can. Let me pull that up for you here. That is the precipitation timing graphic. So for Southeast Texas, including Beaumont, again, we could be looking at a few flurries kind of Monday evening into Monday night, but the vast majority of snowfall will be after midnight, Tuesday morning through Tuesday afternoon. Terry asks, Wednesday, will it melt? Probably not. If we get above freezing Wednesday, it's only going to be for a couple of hours. So it may try to start to melt a little bit, but then it's going to immediately refreeze again. So I expect if we see these numbers verify with the 4 to potentially 8 inches of snowfall, it could be on the ground to as late as Thursday. Kelly Lane wants to see the temps for Southwest Louisiana again. I'm not sure which particular day, so I'll just pull up the graphic here. So these are our minimum temperatures for next week. That pretty much kind of shows not every city, but a large swath of cities here, going all the way from Sunday through Thursday. You can see the areas highlighted in my little purple boxes there. Those are the areas of dangerously cold temperatures. And we're going to be looking at essentially Sunday evening through Monday morning, Tuesday evening all the way through, or I should say Monday evening all the way through Wednesday morning, and then again from Wednesday evening through Thursday. And this kind of illustrates what we were just talking about. You can see the snow falling on Tuesday. We're going to be very much below freezing Wednesday morning. We may get above freezing about noon to maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock. So there may be a 3 or 4 hour period there where the snow begins to kind of melt off a little bit. But then it's going to quickly refreeze again as we're going to drop well below freezing again Wednesday night. Now, something to kind of keep in mind with that is we could be looking at, even if we don't see any ice, any freezing rain from this, we could have a situation where we have significant snow development. The snow begins to melt off a little bit Wednesday afternoon, then refreezes as ice Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That could potentially cause some problems as well. We'll have to see how that evolves. That's just a possibility at this point. But it is something we're going to have to kind of think about as we go through the latter part of the week here. Natalie says, can you make a post for us to post our snowman and their names? If we actually get some snow, I'll do that. Let's see if we're actually going to get it first. Cole says, so everyone is in the cone of uncertainty, the snow cone of uncertainty. It's not the regular type. It's the snow cone of uncertainty. Pam's snowman will be Billy Joe Bob. I have to put a flannel shirt on him because that's the most redneck name I've ever heard. Martha says, how about Newton County, Texas? How much snow? Let me come back to the snow graphic here. So again, generally speaking, we're looking at back. Okay. All of Southeast Texas, generally looking at roughly about 4 to 6 inches of snow anticipated, and that includes Newton County. Nancy says, what about the Morgan City area? Yeah, no, I'm in the way here for Morgan City. Morgan City's covered by my head. But generally speaking, a little bit lower in terms of overall snowfall potential down that way, but still looking at 3 to 4 inches of accumulation expected down in the Morgan City area. Yeah, I'll try to put me in the Gulf of Mexico there. Make me a little smaller. There we go. Dee Dee says, if it were up to me, how long would I close schools, colleges, and businesses based on the forecast of weather conditions? Well, the good thing is it's not up to me, so I don't have to make those decisions. But we do talk to the people who do make those decisions, and I think they've made good decisions so far by closing schools and colleges and such Tuesday and Wednesday. Whether it needs to extend into Thursday, we'll wait and see how much snow we get and how much of that is still on the roads by the time we get there. Daryl says, are we expecting power outages with everyone running their heaters? We talked about that a little bit. Yes, that is going to be a possibility. Obviously, with these very cold temperatures, and this has nothing to do with the snow, just the fact that it's extremely cold, we are going to be looking at the possibility of a much higher electricity use that could result in some power outages or some brownouts. Yes, that is a chance. That is something we'll have to keep in mind. I don't have, obviously, all of the details on the infrastructure of the region to tell you specifically, but yeah, that is a possibility. Shauna says, please let everyone know that the plants and refineries struggle with temperatures this low, and they will hear noises. If anything is significant, they will get a warning and be notified. I didn't know that myself, Shauna, so thank you for letting me know that. And thank you for letting everyone watching know that as well. Ashley says, should have Boyles Parish close schools for Tuesday? Again, that's not my decision to make. All we can do is give them the weather information, and school board officials have to make those decisions for themselves. And that's asking for the graphic for Jeff Davis Parish, please. I'm not sure what graphic you're talking about. I don't have individual county and parish breakdowns for this. So I can't tell you. I don't have a specific graphic just for Jeff Davis Parish. All right, I've made it just about to the bottom of my question thread here. So if you have a question here, I've got a couple of more minutes. And I'll be happy to answer them for you here over the next couple of minutes. Natalie says, how will this affect crawfish for Mardi Gras? Generally, crawfish don't particularly care for cold a whole lot. So yeah, they're going to all go run into hiding for a while. So you may see, not that the crawfish catch is ever really good this time of year. It's very, very early. But from what I understand, crawfish tend to go run and hide from the cold. So it may take them a couple of weeks to come back out after this cold passes. Christine asked, what is the wind speed forecast for Calcasieu Parish? Apologies, it's already been covered. It has, but we can talk about it again because we haven't talked about it that much. Let me go forward here. So this is our wind speed forecast. These are the wind gusts for all of the area. So Calcasieu Parish, just look at the Lake Charles numbers there. You can see we're looking at essentially 20 plus mile per hour gusts with gusts to 30 miles an hour kind of Sunday morning. And again, as we go through the morning Tuesday. So it is going to remain very, very gusty, especially when we're dealing with the snow. You can see the prime snow time Tuesday, we're looking at 20 to up to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. So it's going to be fairly gusty out there for a fairly long duration period there on Tuesday as that snow is expected to fall. That's why we were talking about earlier. We are not too far removed from blizzard warning criteria. Let's see, Greg wants to know about snow in Rapides Parish. Let's jump back that. And Jeanne wants to know about Vermilion Parish. Back. Oh, too far. Forward. So Rapides Parish, you can see there, we're looking at roughly 6 to 8 inches of snowfall accumulation. That's the forecast at this point. For Vermilion Parish, Jeanne, not one of those. We're going to be looking at essentially, depending on exactly where you are, 4 to 6 inches across northern parts of the parish, perhaps a little bit lower right along the immediate coastline. Marie's asking about ERAF. Again, you're kind of in that 4 to 6 inch snowfall total right now. Ashley says, are we getting snow or is it more ice? At this point, it's looking much more likely that it's going to be snow. Ice is not out of the realm of possibility. We are still looking at a low chance of some ice accumulation. Let's see, those are the forecast probability, or those are the probabilities, I should say, for seeing some kind of ice accumulation. You can see it's primarily along and south of the I-10 corridor, and it's about a 20% chance right now. Lilani says, Donald, thank you so much for all the time you spent helping keep us informed. And thank you to the entire team. We do have an entire team here. We've got 25 people here that help make the dream work. And her snowman is going to be named Snow Dude. Is it Snow Dude or Snow and you're calling me a dude? Snow Dude, that's a pretty good name. I'm all right with it. Give him some sunglasses. Okay. Terry asks, are you going to do like for hurricanes and do the charts for each parish? No, probably not, because there's even the day of, there's a whole lot of uncertainty regarding exact snowfall totals and stuff along those lines. So I don't feel comfortable getting that specific. Lori asks, what is the best way to cover ice on my deck? I'm not sure what you mean, cover ice on my deck. I'm built high up, and the only way to get out of my house is going downstairs. Need to know just in case. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me, Lori. The best way to cover ice on my deck. You're gonna have to get back to me and let me know, reword that or something, because I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Radio Ness asks, what will you be watching to call 2 inches or 6 inches of snow? I'm not exactly sure what that means either. I mean, we use a lot of computer models to make that forecast. And those computer models update every couple of hours. So we constantly have new information, if that's what you're asking. Sandy says, we love Joe Rua. I love Joe Rua too. Joe Rua is the man. I actually worked with him. Joe Rua is one of our lead forecasters here. Jessica asks, will we break any records for snow this time of the year? For daily records, yes. For total records, no, because the current record for Calcasieu Parish and for the Lake Charles area specifically is 20 inches of snow, and that was back in 1895. None of us were around back then. So we're not going to be anywhere close to that. But we're in the running for the number 2 spot, which I think is 4 inches. That could very well be exceeded. Jan says, my snowman will be named No Mo Snow. I'm here for that. That's pretty good. Lori asked, like they do on the roads. I think she was getting back to me with that. If you're talking about how to like somebody said, I think she means to prevent. If she's talking about how to stop ice or otherwise get rid of ice, salt works. If you want to put salt out there, if your goal is not necessarily to dissolve the ice, but just to not slip and fall and die on it, kitty litter works surprisingly well. We learned that the hard way after one of our forecasters fell here years ago and broke his ankle in the process. So anything that provides you some traction, sand would also work pretty well to provide some traction. That'll also help melt the ice a little bit. It's not quite as effective as salt, but it's a lot cheaper if you can get it. And at the very least, it'll keep you from slipping and falling because it provides some traction and some friction that you can your shoes can grasp onto. So yeah, if I had to pick one of those, I would pick either sand or kitty litter because, as somebody just mentioned here, kitty litter is biodegradable and sand is just sand, so it's not hurting anything. Salt will eventually it's going to melt off and run off, and that could potentially kill your lawn because that salt's got to go somewhere. It's going to go into your lawn or it's going to go into your yard, so that could potentially cause some problems to your plant life in and around wherever you salt. JR Studio says, I'm from Louisville. Now it's the South's turn. Hope y'all are safe in this ultra rare event. It is our turn, it seems. And yes, this is a very ultra rare event for if these snow totals result or verify the way we think they will. Lower says, yeah, I don't want to slip, fall, and die. Well, that's good idea. I don't think any of us want to. So, yep, kitty litter, sand, salt, all good ideas, all good things for alleviating the ice problem. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. I've kind of reached the bottom of my list again. We've been going on here for dang near an hour and about 20 seconds. We are gonna do another one of these briefings this evening at 7 p.m. We'll also answer more questions as those come along Wednesday or this evening as well. In the meantime, if you do have a question that I missed on here or you think of one, feel free to send us a direct message on our Facebook page. We'll be happy to answer your questions. You can also email me directly if you'd like. I'll put my email on the screen there. There it is, donald.jones@noaa.gov. You can also give us a call here at our office, area code 337-477-5285. We'll be happy to answer your questions that way. You can also tweet us or X's, whatever it's called now, on our X. We also have an Instagram page. You can give messages on there as well and get all your questions answered. Again, our next briefing will be 7 p.m. this evening, and we'll have all the latest and greatest information for you at that time. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day today. It's going to be a nice day, so it's a good day to prepare now for that cold weather that'll be coming in tomorrow. It'll be very cold by tomorrow evening, and then we'll be looking at that, snow by Monday night into Tuesday. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you again this evening, 7 o'clock.